What's up guys, welcome back. This is anime fiction. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was the God of Thunder in Marvel Part 1. Now, let's begin. The collector showed everyone around his collection museum. Look at this. I've got something new in. And this one. Oh, you've already seen it before. So, what do you think about this? The collector was really thrilled about his collections. He usually doesn't take people on tours of his collections. Since Naruto and the crew were pretty strong and both sides had a lot of business going on over time, he didn't really mind flexing a bit. Eventually, they made it to their destination. It was this cylindrical glass cage, all opaque and everything, so you couldn't really peek inside to see what was kept in there. With a big smile, the collector pointed to the cylindrical glass cage and introduced it with enthusiasm. So, this is what you're looking for. After saying that, he flipped a switch of some kind, making the cage see-through and letting everyone peek inside. I spotted a one-eyed metallic eagle just lying there in the cage, looking pretty listless. Haha, that's funny. Did you all check out those metallic wings? They're not just your average thing, you know. Before I added it to my collection, the only metal it had ever consumed was uru. So, the metallic scales on it had just a handful of properties. Uru is definitely a mystical and rare metal, but it's not the only one out there. The collector kept on bragging, wearing a proud look on his face. Since I bought it, I've been giving it a bunch of rare minerals and metals from all over the galaxies. Now, these wings not only boast high magic conductivity and resistance, but they're also super durable and sharp. Plus, it has some pretty amazing regeneration abilities and can quickly fix those broken metallic scales on its body just by consuming energy. As Naruto listened to the collector, he thought it was a great pick for the next gene sample. So, even now, none of the members on his team can actually fly in the traditional sense. Even though they handle those enemies in different ways, having air control would still be a nice advantage. And let's not forget about the high-intensity laser shot from its eyes. With that in mind, Naruto decided not to wait any longer and just asked the collector for the price. Tiban, let's get straight to the point. What's the price for the blood sample? What's the rush? The collector looked like he had more to say, but as soon as he caught the annoyed expressions on Naruto and the others, he smartly decided to keep quiet. Okay, you all are just so dull. He honestly quoted the price, no doubt about it. You know, if it were anyone else, I probably wouldn't have even considered making this deal. Since we've known each other for such a long time, I'm happy to offer this to you at a really low price. After a good bit of back and forth, both sides finally settled on a price. Then, the collector pressed another switch, and a mechanical arm came into the cage. It kept taking blood samples from the eagle that was locked in the cage. So, I handed the collected sample to Jack, and he carefully placed it in a specially made metal box before storing it away safely. HMPH, you all are quite the characters. I can't believe you took advantage of an honest old man like me by offering this sample at such a low price. When they heard this, everyone there just about burst out laughing. Oh, come on, Tiban. You're anything but an honest old man. Once they wrapped up their conversation, Naruto and the gang headed out of the collector's museum and hopped onto the spacecraft. So, Jack passed the box to Sif and headed out for some bounty hunting, giving the lovebirds a little space while they were still around. Naruto and Lucy were chilling on a couch in Naruto's bedroom aboard the spacecraft. So, Sif headed off to find a safe place to store the gene sample. So, what's the next move? Lucy asked as she settled onto his lap. Let's chat about that a bit later. What do you think about doing some fun activities before that? Naruto said, playfully pinching her nipples and blowing warm air into her ear. Lucy's face began to feel warm too. Naruto, you might want to stop for a sec. Sif could come back any moment now. Naruto just kept going, not paying any attention to Lucy's feelings. Oh, well, Lucy grunted. Everyone, get ready for another wild R18 adventure. So, you might be thinking about a threesome. And hey, don't forget about the power stones. Over time, even though there wasn't any issue with the relationship between Lucy and Sif, Naruto still hadn't fulfilled his dream of having a threesome. But today, he decided it was finally time to put his long-held plans into action. Naruto's perspective. Lucy caught my eye for a moment, then quickly looked away. Lucy started to panic as she noticed my increasingly bold moves. She just couldn't wrap her head around the idea of Sif watching or catching them. She considered stepping back, but for some reason, her feet felt stuck to the ground. I strolled along, taking in her expression while smiling. As I got closer to her, I reached out my hand and gently brushed my fingers against her cheek. So, I leaned in a bit and kissed her lips. Lucy widened her eyes. She instinctively placed her hands on my chest and gently pushed me away. Hold on. Sif could show up at any moment. I couldn't help but chuckle as I looked right into her eyes. Lucy's skin felt really firm, and her long hair cascaded down her back. Her face might not have been as stunningly beautiful as Sif's, but she definitely had her own charm going on. It was a beauty that felt healthy, like a wildflower blooming in the springtime. She usually had this calm look on her face, so it was definitely a surprise to see her panicking after I kissed her. So, how was it? I asked. What? I laughed a little and leaned in again. Just before she could respond, I found myself kissing her lips once more. This time, the kiss lasted a bit longer. Even though I didn't use my tongue, our lips were connected for a few seconds. After the kiss, Lucy looked a little lost for a moment. But then, in the blink of an eye, she started to panic. Wait a second, what are you up to? Just take a breath, I whispered in her ear. Sif isn't coming back anytime soon. Sif, Lucy bit her lips, looking like she was in pain. She looked at me and let out a sigh. Even so, I smiled and ran my fingers along her arms. I noticed her shivering a bit, and her eyes were a blend of hesitation, guilt, and desire. Honestly, from the moment Naruto started flirting, he could tell she was a bit tempted. Well, the last time they did it was 2 months back. They were hard at work finishing up the collector's commission. So, what was she thinking coming to his bedroom when she knew Sif was around too? So basically, it all comes down to my skills and what they'll lead to next. As Lucy stood there shivering in front of me, I leaned in, took a breath near her ear, and gently kissed her earlobe. No need to stress, it's going to be awesome and thrilling. So, I leaned in and kissed her neck. Lucy's hand was shaking. She gave me a hesitant look. She wanted to tell her legs to run, but it felt like her body was weighed down like lead. She just couldn't take a single step. Soon, she noticed as I carefully took off her clothes, beginning with her shoulders and gently lowering her dress to reveal her collarbone. Lucy took a deep breath. She shut her eyes and bit her lips, wondering how everything got to this point. But I wasn't about to give my target a moment to think or regret what was coming their way. I carefully took off her clothes. I took my time taking off her bra, all while planting soft kisses on her neck. As I took in her figure, with everything else gone except for her panties, I couldn't help but let out a sigh of admiration. It's really a masterpiece. So, I picked her up in a princess carry and took her over to another sofa. Naruto, hold on a second, that's not right. What if Sif shows up? It's okay. No need to stress. She's tied up at the moment. I settled down on the sofa and had her on my lap, her face turned towards mine. Seeing her shy expression, I just had to steal a kiss. I gently kissed Lucy's lips and let my hands glide over her back, stroking it softly. Lucy let out a sigh. She glanced down and gasped in surprise at my huge weapon before quickly leaving. Wow, that's huge. I gave her ear another gentle kiss and smiled. At the same time, my hands found their way to her breasts, and I began to explore them gently. I could catch a whiff of Lucy's fragrance from her soft skin. The gentle scent of flowers blended perfectly with the sweet aroma of her shampoo. I felt a surge of desire bubbling up inside me. I kissed her neck and playfully licked it, savoring her beauty and drawing a soft moan from her lips. Don't stop, Lucy begged, wrapping her arms around my neck in a tight hug. I couldn't help but smirk. The very next moment, my other hand slid down and found its way to her hidden spot. Lifting her panties, I slipped a finger inside. Lucy let out a gasp. She trembled a bit, pulling me in closer with her arms around my head. I began to move my fingers gently, playfully exploring her insides while my mouth softly kissed and licked her neck and collarbone. After that, I kissed her shoulders and then went back to her lips. She didn't put up much of a fight this time. She parted her lips for my kiss and playfully extended her tongue. Her tongue danced with mine, sharing a sweet exchange and savoring the moment together. NNN, Lucy let out a soft grunt and closed her eyes. She really liked our kiss as my hand moved over her body without any hesitation. My index finger slipped inside her while my thumb teased her clitoris. She shivered at the surprising pleasure, letting out a soft grunt. I used my other hand to explore her body, gently flicking her nipples and caressing her belly. We hang out for a bit, all cozy and close, soaking in the warmth and just enjoying being together. Lucy quickly got wet. Even though she was a bit scared that Sif could show up at any moment, she couldn't help but admit it felt nice. With one hand exploring her body, another on her breast, and my lips pressed against hers, I took my time savoring the moment. I could sense her body heating up with excitement for what was just around the corner. As our lips pulled apart, Lucy let out a warm breath. She gave me a confused look and furrowed her brows. In that moment, I moved my hand down to her private area. Once the loud sex session wrapped up, Lucy was the only one left panting on the couch. After a brief interval, he detected footsteps approaching from behind. Without glancing back, Naruto was aware of the identity of the individual approaching. Naruto displayed a smile. Today has the potential to be even more exceptional. As he glanced back, Naruto noticed a young woman with black hair observing him intently. Upon sensing this gaze, Sif averted her eyes and experienced a slight blush. Over time, while there were no issues in managing the relationship between Lucy and Sif, Naruto has yet to fulfill his aspiration of experiencing a threesome. Sif, who was discreetly listening in, was surprised that Naruto was aware of her presence. However, upon observing his unsettling grin, Sif quickly grasped his ulterior motives. Ultimately, it was not merely one or two occasions that Naruto had attempted to secure their agreement on the matter. Observing Sif and Lucy, who were intent on denying the situation once more, Naruto took the initiative and began speaking without allowing them the opportunity to respond. Lucy's expression and posture diminished in a display of embarrassment. As they exchanged glances, I couldn't help but let out a soft chuckle. In the following moment, Lucy experienced an overwhelming pleasure that momentarily halted her thoughts. Lucy emitted a prolonged and audible sound of discomfort. Her gaze became vacant, and her body began to tremble. Sif's mouth opened in astonishment. However, upon seeing my smile, her words faltered. Subsequently, she began to experience a sensation of warmth on her abdomen. "What is occurring? Please come here. I have placed an order." Sif then experienced a sensation as if her body was acting independently of her intentions. "What is happening?" I maintained a composed demeanor while engaging with Lucy, directing my attention towards Sif. Upon Sif's arrival beside us, she succumbed to fatigue and gracefully settled onto the sofa. I then leaned in and pressed my lips against hers. Immediately, Sif experienced a captivating sense of enjoyment. Sif exhibited a flush of color and averted her gaze. I maintained a confident demeanor as I playfully maneuvered my rigid form near her entrance, teasingly engaging without making any direct contact. Sif expressed her discomfort with audible sounds. She then regarded me with a skeptical expression. I simply smiled and began to engage in a more intimate manner. "Naruto, please expedite your actions. I desire it." "Oh, I did not catch that. I would like to request it, please." "Certainly." I subsequently initiated a new round. As Lucy lay collapsed beside us and Sif continued to pant beneath me, the night was only beginning. Following the events of the previous night, Naruto encountered disapproving glances from both Lucy and Sif the next day. Upon reflecting on their actions from the previous night, both individuals quickly dressed and departed from the location associated with moral ambiguity. However, Naruto understood that after the initial experience, subsequent attempts would become progressively easier. There will certainly be additional instances as well. He needed to exercise patience and allow time to unfold. Meanwhile, while Lucy and Sif collaborated last night after experiencing enjoyment, it remained a challenging obstacle for them to overcome. Following that, the atmosphere among the three of them became somewhat uncomfortable for the next few days. Following several more days of discussion, Lucy and Sif appeared to have arrived at a mutual agreement of sorts. However, they continued to disregard Naruto as a consequence for his actions. A few months later, following the completion of several additional missions, Naruto and his team were making arrangements to return to Asgard for a designated period. In the interim, as Naruto had anticipated, he was able to experience that sublime sensation once more immediately following the conclusion of their prior mission. It is also noteworthy that Naruto successfully accumulated sufficient soul energy for an additional opportunity to utilize his system ability. He now had a total of 2 opportunities. Ding. Name: Naruto. Skills equals 1. Hercules. Physique S. 2. Thunder. Power S. 3. Rapid regeneration S. Soul energy. 1248 out of 3000. Probability of abilities. 2. Additionally, they have recently gathered another noteworthy gene sample. It was part of a unique species of extraterrestrial worm. Despite being referred to as a worm, its size is nearly equivalent to that of a 70-story building on Earth. It possessed numerous potent and uncommon capabilities related to space. However, due to their inherently shy and introverted disposition, it is nearly impossible for an individual to encounter them in a lifetime. Naruto expressed his gratitude for obtaining such a significant gene sample. He had long admired the capability of teleportation. In the Marvel Universe, teleportation is achieved through various methods. A prevalent technique involves creating a direct portal or wormhole in space, allowing individuals to traverse through it and arrive at the intended destination. The Bifrost of Asgard and the portal magic of Kamar Taj utilize this principle. Another approach involves physically relocating to a different location. It bears resemblance to the Red Devil and Nightcrawler within the adjacent Mutant X-Men universe. While space worms possessed both types of abilities, Naruto favored the second option as it aligned more closely with his fighting style. Nonetheless, it remained a considerable distance for Naruto, as he had yet to identify a suitable partner to share the genetic power with. It was during this tranquil moment that an incident occurred. Ring ring ring. Attention. Attention. The spacecraft has entered a strong gravitational field. The engine is unable to overcome it. Attention. Kindly ensure that appropriate precautions are taken. Attention. A space wormhole has been detected in the vicinity. As the danger alarms sounded, individuals promptly became alert and convened in the control room. Hello Lucy. Hello, what is going on? Jack inquired, breathless. I'm uncertain. The spacecraft was operating in automatic mode. Subsequently, Naruto arrived at this moment as well. Could you please provide an update on the current situation? I'm unable to confirm. This route was intended to be secure, and if I am not mistaken, this wormhole was likely created by the space worm we encountered during our journey. Lucy responded while managing the controls, with Sif assisting her. This is quite frustrating. Naruto appeared somewhat taken aback. He had just expressed his gratitude for his good fortune, and now this. It appears that he may have spoken too soon. Hello Lucy, the situation is entirely unmanageable. The left wing has sustained damage as well. Please expedite your thought process and devise a solution. At this time, Sif delivered additional unfavorable news. It appears we have reached a critical juncture. Upon hearing this, Lucy took a seat and cradled her head in her hands. What are the potential consequences we might face? Jack made an inquiry with some hesitation. We may be assigned to a remote and uncharted region of space, light years away from our current location. Alternatively, we might be transformed directly into cosmic particles. Sif interjected in an effort to lighten the atmosphere. Although her efforts did not yield the desired results, they only heightened their anxiety. Let us embrace one another to ensure we remain together, Naruto proposed. Upon hearing this, Sif attempted to restrain Lucy, Jack, and Naruto using her wooden branches. However, at the moment she had already circled around Lucy and Naruto. Just prior to binding Jack, the spacecraft experienced another tremor, and shortly thereafter, they traversed the wormhole. Jack was unexpectedly ejected through the hole created in the window by an asteroid moments ago. However, Naruto observed him transform into his Ant-Man form just before that moment. Considering that Thor and Loki in the film were also capable, Naruto believed that with Jack's robust physique, he should be able to endure without issue. Naruto had already determined that in their combat forms, it was not an issue for the others to endure in space. It is worth noting that he possesses not only Jack's impressive physique but also the remarkable ability of rapid regeneration. If this wormhole were to disintegrate them into space dust, it would be inconsequential, even within the confines of the spacecraft. Consequently, they could only anticipate the most favorable outcome at this point. Upon awakening from what seemed like a disorienting experience akin to a tumultuous ride in a washing machine, Naruto surveyed his surroundings with a sense of confusion. Upon locating Sif and Lucy in the spacecraft control room, he made an effort to rouse them from their slumber. "Excuse me, could you please clarify my current location? Are we operational?" Upon waking, both Sif and Lucy, who were equally disoriented, appeared somewhat bewildered. It took them several minutes to regain their composure. Ultimately, their physiques were merely at a level and did not match his strength. They proceeded to inquire about various matters concerning Naruto. "It was an incredible experience. I have no intention of attempting it again. I feel the same way. The primary positive aspect is that we have all emerged unscathed and without any significant injuries." Lucy brought it up. "On that note, could you please inform me of Jack's whereabouts?" Sif inquired with a quiver in her voice. "Please refrain from sharing that information. Lucy has just become aware of it. Please remain calm, both of you. Jack is currently in a satisfactory condition. I have witnessed his transformation into his Ant-Man form previously. It is not a straightforward matter for him to pass away. Initially, we need to locate Jack and inquire about our current location." Naruto proceeded after observing that both Sif and Lucy had regained their composure. Each individual comprehends the gravity of their circumstances. Upon achieving stabilization and entering optimal combat readiness, all three individuals exited the spacecraft by opening the hatch. Simultaneously, variously shaped entities had encircled the exterior of the spacecraft. "Please remain vigilant. They are emerging." All individuals promptly directed their weapons toward the hatch door. "Please raise your hands, all of you." Before he could finish his statement, he, along with everyone else, was ensnared by several potent vines emerging from the ground. At the same time, as Naruto and his companions descended from the hatch, they were met with a formidable array of weapons aimed in their direction. Upon observing this, Naruto signaled to Sif to proceed, who then utilized her abilities to manipulate plants and ensnared everyone in a manner reminiscent of mummification. Naruto and Lucy proceeded to target those who evaded capture by employing a lightning attack. Once everything was under control, Sif proceeded to secure the remaining individuals who had already been charred black at that point. "At least it is not an isolated location devoid of any life," Lucy remarked with a sense of humor. Following a thorough interrogation, Naruto and his companions ultimately discovered the nature of the location in which they had found themselves. Sakaar. Indeed, that is the location of their presence. Observing the perplexed expressions on both Sif and Lucy's faces, Naruto proceeded to provide them with an explanation based on his knowledge of the matter. Sakaar is a planet characterized by its waste management challenges, established by the Grand Master within the Teo star system, and is encircled by multiple wormholes that contribute to the accumulation of space debris. Sakaar serves as the homeworld for the Sakaarans, along with numerous other species that have found themselves stranded on the planet from various regions of the cosmos. Sif was intrigued when she heard this and asked Naruto, "And who is this Grand Master?" "Well, he is Sakaar's king, who likes gaming and manipulating smaller lifeforms. After becoming stuck on the planet, he transformed himself into the flashy Grand Master, establishing a dictatorship over its population and distracting them with a series of bouts between some of his greatest slaves known as the Contest of Champions." Quote. After speaking, Naruto added at the conclusion, "Oh, and he is the collector's brother." What? Quote. Lucy and Sif were astounded after hearing his narrative. If I'm not wrong, then all these people are just bounty hunters who catch the standard people in this place. While saying this, Naruto was also thinking about Jack. He isn't sure if Jack came before them or if he has yet to come. On Sakaar, time moves differently than on other worlds. This was demonstrated when Loki was thrown into Sakaar only seconds before Thor yet arrived 2 weeks before Thor, as well as the Grand Master declaring that he would be millions of years old, in comparison to the outside world. Right now our first goal should be getting ourselves a legal identity, meanwhile also searching for Jack and reunite. Naruto spoke after some time. You're correct, Naruto. We can't think about leaving until we finish this. Naruto and the others continued to question the arrested mercenaries for any relevant information that may aid them. While questioning them, Naruto also asked about Jack on a whim. Have you guys previously encountered or captured someone who looked like this? Naruto showed them Jack's photo and asked. Seeing Jack's image, all of them denied ever seeing him. However, it was at this point when one of the captive mercenaries, with 3 eyes and green skin, I spoke in a hushed voice. I know him. This is the Ant-Man. Naruto furrowed his eyebrows as he heard this ambiguous information. The 3-eyed mercenary, apparently noting his impatience, went on to explain further. He is the new champion, chosen by the Grand Master 2 months ago. I went to witness his fight 3 weeks ago. Following that, the mercenary offered a few further information. Meanwhile, Naruto inquired about Jack on a whim. After all, Sakaar is a large planet, and he didn't have much prospect of locating Jack's information. Due to the peculiar flow of time here, Naruto had no idea if Jack had arrived before them. He did not expect to learn so much about himself. Unfortunately, the news was not good for them. Lucy and Sif then took the captive mercenaries, guns and other helpful items. So how do we deal with them? Asked Lucy, pointing to the mercenaries. What else? Of course, we must finish them out. The minute they assaulted us, their fate was sealed. Said Naruto. He never lets his foes off the hook or leaves things hanging. Besides, I don't want someone to backstab us in the future. When Sif received his signal, she immediately tightened the vines around their necks and strangled them to death. Naruto also fired a couple lightning bolts to ensure they weren't faking. For the following 2 weeks, they walked the streets of Sakaar, eventually obtaining a legal identification after many twists and turns. During this time, they also met a couple slave merchants who sought to kidnap them, sell them to the Grand Master for use in his gladiator contest. However, Naruto and the others made quick work of them. Even Naruto was alarmed when he saw the obedience disc he had seized from slave dealers. Fortunately, they were not arrested and armed with this when they first landed on Sakaar. According to the movies, obedience discs were employed to govern individuals enslaved by the Grand Master on Sakaar. When Scrapper 142 caught Thor on Sakaar, she placed an obedience disc around his neck, allowing her to incapacitate the God of Thunder whenever required. She used it when Thor attempted to extricate himself from the chair he was bound to. Thor's obedience disc was triggered again at the end of his combat with Hulk, ensuring that the Grandmaster's champion remained unbeaten. Thor finally stole Valkyrie's controller to remove his obedience disc. And just now, Jack was most certainly humbled by this obedience disc. The only way to save him was to locate its controller first, and then rescue him afterward. Naruto's headache returned as he reflected about this. It was not simple to sneak inside the Grand Master's lair and rescue Jack. It was strongly secured by personnel equipped with advanced weaponry. Despite this, Naruto was not terrified of these weapons, given his ability. In a nutshell, Naruto was a cross between Thor, the Hulk, and Wolverine at this time. Here, 1 + 1 + 1 does not simply equal 3. But he wasn't alone. Sif and Lucy were also with him. However, they were not feeble either. Nonetheless, the opposition possessed a significant numerical advantage as well as a big arsenal. Naruto, why don't we hang around for a little longer? As of today, if we attempt to rescue Jack without total certainty, the Grand Master will undoubtedly be alerted. Lucy proposed. Yeah, and Jack should be fine for now. If we alert the Grand Master, the situation could spiral out of control. Sif also shared their view. You folks are correct. If we attack now, we will gain nothing but the opportunity to show ourselves. Naruto concurred with their sentiments. This was clearly not the proper moment. Invading the Grandmaster's lair was out of the question. They needed to think out their next course of action. For the following few days, they all worked separately, with everyone having their own responsibilities. Sif's primary goal was to collect information. In their present circumstances, they need thorough knowledge about their opponent. Lucy was in charge of finding a permanent home for them. Until recently, they had always lived in a pub. However, because they had no immediate means of rescuing Jack, it was evident that they required a permanent residence for their future acts. Meanwhile, Naruto was in charge of selling the high-tech weaponry taken from the mercenaries. However, Naruto and the others could also utilize it. However, they were in desperate financial need at the time. Purchasing a home was also put on hold due to a lack of funds. Lucy had already found a home in a faraway region. This was quite conducive to their aims. After some time wandering around and following the guidelines, Naruto discovered the Emerald Tavern. Despite being a little run down, it was nonetheless buzzing with people. Many aliens of various forms and sizes were drinking inside. When he arrived at the counter, a three-headed, blue-skinned bartender approached him. "What would you like?" "I need some birds," Naruto answered, still gazing down. Hearing this code, all three heads blinked their eyes simultaneously, and after a few seconds of squinting, he finally broke the stillness. "You go to the table number 7 and the order will be delivered there." After stating this, he turned around and went inside to notify the agent. After Naruto sat down at the table and waited for a while, a masked female with cat ears appeared. She sat calmly across from him. "So, you were the one selling weapons, huh?" Naruto looked up to see a cat-eared female clad in black skin tights and clutching 2 laser weapons around her waist, as well as a stylish-looking knife. Right now, she was looking at him with the stare is deadpan. Naruto also observed a dark, hairy tail reaching out behind her. She resembled the perfect assassin in numerous video games. He couldn't see her face since she was wearing a mask. Naruto scanned her from top to bottom in a short second. He did not anticipate cat-eared girls to come in the Marvel Universe. But who is he to talk on these issues? Perhaps such a species exists in some unknown corner of the Earth. After all, the Sakaar is connected to many unexpected areas around the Marvel Universe. "Yes, I am the one. So tell me the inventory of the weapons you are going to sell and I will give you the price." Raven's point of view. Her entire life has been one heck of a tragedy. She was born into a witch family on a remote world where witches were the dominant race. My invention, a small alternate universe scenario. So do not complain. Her mother was a renowned and strong great witch. She had a very high reputation after doing many wonderful things in the fields of magic and study. But everything changed quickly. A terrible virus swept throughout the globe. Many witches succumbed to it and died. The mortality rate was too high. The most perplexing aspect about it was that it exclusively attacked witches, leaving normal people unaffected. This point piqued my mother's interest. As a result, she conducted a secret investigation into this topic and made astonishing conclusions. She discovered that a gang of people calling themselves rebels had planned a massive plot. They utilized the night cat's blood to produce a lethal poison that only afflicted people with magic in their bodies. On their native planet, night cats were a type of predatory animal with powerful black magic abilities. After that, they incorporated it with their planet's water source. After learning about it, my mother grabbed a few poison samples from the rebels and began preparing for it. After barely 2 months, my brilliant mother devised an antidote. Following that, she informed everyone about her finding and provided the antidote to the Witch Society, which resolved to punish the rebels. With the assistance of the antidote, while everyone successfully eliminated the poison, they experienced the side effects of developing cat ears and tails. A protracted conflict ensued between the rebels and the witches. The rebels, being at a disadvantage, were destined to lose from the outset. Consequently, they had created a teleportation device as a contingency plan for their escape from this location. However, their reluctance to utilize it stemmed from its instability and the absence of a defined destination. However, when confronted with an impasse, they had no alternative but to utilize the device. The situation began to deteriorate as the unstable portal evolved into a chaotic space storm. Nearly the entire planet was devastated, with the exception of Raven. At a pivotal moment, her mother utilized all her abilities to create a small spatial rift in the already unstable environment of their planet. She dispatched the young Raven, who had not yet acquired any magical abilities, as her final hope. She achieved success in a certain manner, and that is how Raven found herself in the challenging environment known as Sakaar. Due to her exceptional physique and inherent affinity for dark magic, she managed to survive independently as a child and has since developed into a formidable assassin. As she reflected on her past, a bartender interrupted her contemplation. "There is an individual seeking to sell weapons. It may be beneficial for you to engage with him. Additionally, please remember to account for my commission." Upon hearing this, Raven stood up and exited, offering a brief nod to the three-headed bartender. Following the exchange of business details between Naruto and Raven inquired with curiosity towards Naruto. What is the reason for the sale of numerous high-tech weapons while maintaining their good condition? It is important to understand that in Sakaar, possessing weapons is the sole assurance of your safety. In response to her inquiry, Naruto provided an honest answer. "I require the funds urgently at this moment. Is that justification adequate?" "It is what it is." Upon reviewing the inventory provided by Naruto, even Raven expressed surprise at the extensive array of advanced weaponry presented simultaneously. She expressed a desire to purchase all of them simultaneously, as it is quite uncommon for an individual to offer such a large quantity of high-tech weapons in excellent condition. However, Raven lacked sufficient funds for that. Nevertheless, she was determined to obtain these weapons. She will not need to concern herself with acquiring new weapons for an extended period following this. Indeed, it was Naruto. "I will be straightforward with you. I am unable to afford the full price of your weapons. However, I would like to propose working for you to settle the outstanding balance." "I see. Please have confidence in my capabilities. Feel free to inquire with anyone in the vicinity." Following this statement, Raven opted to await Naruto's response. At the same time, Naruto was thoughtfully considering her proposal. Upon observing her attire, he identified her as the renowned solitary assassin from Sakaar. Naruto was aware that their circumstances were somewhat complicated. They will certainly require assistance from external sources. During Sif's inquiry regarding potential allies, Raven was included on the list as well. Raven is an experienced warrior who has garnered significant recognition on Sakaar over an extended period. She is a renowned bounty hunter on Sakaar, known as Scrapper -103. She is primarily recognized for her exceptional speed and precision in marksmanship. She exhibited extraordinary strength and agility, reminiscent of a feline's reflexes. At the outset, Naruto intended to reach out to Brunhilde first. He sought to persuade her to assist them, given their shared Asgardian heritage. Historically, Brunhilde was among the Valkyries dispatched by Odin to return Hela to her confinement. Mounted on a winged steed, Valkyrie confronted Hela in battle. Hela developed an extensive array of weapons that she employed to eliminate the Valkyrie as they approached her. Brunhilde was among the final Valkyrie, successfully evading death during a fierce assault when Hela confronted her directly, only to be impeded by the sole other surviving Valkyrie. As the sole survivor of the Asgardian warrior maidens, Brunhilde chose to exile herself to the planet Sakaar, where she excelled as one of the Grandmaster's top acquisition specialists, operating under the designation Scrapper 142. She maintained a contentious relationship with the Grandmaster's bodyguard, Topaz, yet enjoyed the favor of the Grandmaster himself. She can certainly demonstrate her value in assisting with Jack's rescue, given her insider knowledge. Nevertheless, he has yet to establish contact with Brunhilde up to this point. Consequently, he adjusted his focus for the time being. Upon discovering that Raven is in search of weapons, Naruto took note of the situation. He considered it a valuable opportunity to both market the weapons and attempt to reach out to Raven. I have a matter that I would appreciate your assistance with, Raven. I am uncertain whether you possess the determination to proceed. I am willing to take on any challenge. Given your interest, perhaps we should relocate to a quieter setting. Naruto stated as he rose and exited the tavern, with Raven trailing closely behind him. Once Raven consented and accompanied him, Naruto led her to their temporary residence. Residing at. Upon observing the deteriorating state of the house, Raven acknowledged with a nod of understanding. It appears that you are in urgent need of financial assistance. It is surprising that this is the best option available, even considering the rental circumstances. Naruto chose to disregard Raven's remarks. At this moment, Sif and Lucy also exited the bedroom. Given the significance of the matter, they could not afford any disclosure of the plan. Consequently, today everyone remained at home and did not seek out information. As Lucy, Sif, and Naruto encircled her, effectively obstructing all avenues of escape, Raven became alert and began to assess her surroundings for potential escape routes. Having successfully navigated this harsh and tumultuous environment, she understandably maintained a heightened awareness of unfamiliar individuals. How could she have followed Naruto, whom she had only recently met, without any prior preparations? Is this the manner in which you receive your guests? Raven remarked with a hint of humor, her hands resting on the holster at her waist. Noticing her alertness, Naruto raised his hands and attempted to soothe her. Please remain calm, Raven. We are not attempting to confront you in any way. What I am about to share must remain confidential. Despite this, Raven maintained her vigilance and responded with a touch of sarcasm. Are you suggesting that my presence here today implies my agreement to collaborate with you, or else there will be consequences? Indeed, failure to comply may result in the need for us to take further action. Sif interrupted before Raven could complete her statement. We will address that matter at a later time. Raven then drew both of her laser guns and aimed a shot at Naruto and Sif respectively. In the meantime, she swiftly approached Lucy and launched an attack using blades coated in poison. Protruding from her boots, as Raven approached, Lucy prepared herself by channeling lightning around her arms and delivering a powerful punch in her direction. While Lucy's physique may not match that of Jack and Naruto, it remains at an impressive level A. Even Captain America, Spider-Man, and ordinary Asgardians possessed only a B-level physique at best. Upon witnessing the lightning in Lucy's hands, Raven realized she had selected the incorrect target. However, it was too late to rectify her decision. Consequently, her knives failed upon impact, and she was propelled backward while experiencing an electric shock. In the meantime, Naruto effectively countered the laser attack with a decisive punch. Sif effectively conjured a robust wooden barrier, successfully intercepting Raven's assault. Subsequently, she utilized robust vines to restrain and bind the discarded Raven. Initially, Raven continued to face challenges as she severed the vines and discharged several additional shots at Sif. However, she was soon bound into a ball by Sif. While it may have seemed prolonged, it all transpired in an instant. The reason for Raven's swift defeat just now was attributable to the surrounding conditions. She was an assassin who primarily specialized in long-range combat. However, in this confined environment, she was compelled to engage in close combat and was unable to fully demonstrate her capabilities. Had Raven engaged in close combat with any other opponent, she may not have faced defeat. Regrettably, she encountered Naruto and the others. I am extremely frustrated with you all. You deceived me. Raven raised her voice significantly and appeared quite alarmed, resembling a startled feline. Could you please refrain from speaking? Please pay close attention to the details of the mission before responding. Naruto addressed her with a tone of irritation. Following this, Naruto informed her of their plans to infiltrate and rescue Jack. What is going on here? Are you all out of your minds? The guards will undoubtedly eliminate us before we have the opportunity to approach him. Raven promptly dismissed their proposals. We would greatly appreciate your assistance. Additionally, there will be others who will be joining our plan in the near future. Naruto reflected on Brunhilde. It appeared that engaging with her would also present a considerable challenge. Naruto and the others have successfully relocated to the newly acquired apartment. During the upcoming period, while Naruto remained at home to prevent Raven from escaping, Sif and Lucy ventured out to gather information. Naruto observed the discontented Raven seated on the sofa. At this time, she was wearing an obedience disc around her neck. Regrettably, I allowed my desire for the weapons to cloud my judgment that day. When do you intend to initiate the plan? Galopso. Raven has established a daily routine of reclining on the sofa and occasionally expressing dissatisfaction. Due to Naruto's uncertainty about leaving Raven unattended and his inability to be by her side at all times, he decided to utilize the obedience disc he had acquired from the slave traders previously. Please remain at ease. I believe it is essential that we begin preparations for the plan. If we are unable to reach the individual I am anticipating within a week, we will proceed without delay. At this moment, even Naruto exhibited a degree of impatience. A considerable amount of time has passed since Jack was captured. If Brunhild remains unreachable after a week, Naruto is prepared to proceed without her. While having an insider and a strong ally would have simplified matters significantly, they had already postponed their actions for too long. Please feel free to inform me if you require any assistance. Naruto inquired of Raven. Oh my goodness. It appears you have mustered some courage, indeed. I began to question whether your previous statements were merely rhetoric. Raven sprang up from the sofa, full of excitement. Let's get straight to the point. Naruto got called out. Meanwhile, Raven felt a bit upset. But she still shared her needs with him. I could really use some help calibrating all my weapons. Do I really need the help of a grumpy old bear for that? So, who's this bear you're talking about? Naruto was curious and asked. Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's a person I know from the market. He's a really great technician. So, after that, Naruto and Raven headed over to the market. Raven led Naruto to the front of a rundown old shop. Once they stepped inside, Naruto spotted a bear not just standing on its legs but also skillfully tinkering with the Sakaar and laser gun. It looked like he was making some changes to it. So, did he go through some crazy experiments in a lab to end up like this? When Naruto saw him, he couldn't help but think that this guy had a fate similar to Rocket Raccoon. Right at that moment, the bear, who looked like he had heard him, charged at them in a fit of rage. What did you just say about me? Is it a laboratory experiment? Haha, what do you know? I'm the last one standing from the proud Berserker Bear's race. I'm the one and only, Galopso the Great. After hearing that, Naruto glanced at the bear with even more suspicion. Some people might not know about it, but Naruto came across a few records of this race while he was in Asgard. Berserker bears were quite the impressive ancient race that roamed the Earth ages ago. Their special abilities kind of reminded me of the Hulk. They got stronger the angrier they felt. Back in the day, they were living on the Titan planet and had control over nearly a third of it thanks to their impressive strength. In the end, they ended up going to war with the Titans. Even though they were just as strong as the Titans, they just didn't have the same numbers. They were really outnumbered and ended up facing a tough defeat after years of hard-fought battles. That race disappeared a long time ago. Honestly, with your height, you don't really seem like you belong to the Berserker Bear race. Naruto said, glancing down at Galopso, who barely reached his chest. Right away, the bear appeared to have swallowed a fly and gave Naruto a surprised and pained expression. It seemed like Naruto hit a nerve. I'm here to help. What do you need assistance with today? Galopso was surprised to meet someone who actually knew about the history of his race. As time went on, he realized that time moved in a strange way in Sakaar. It had been quite a while since they vanished from the world. That's because I didn't manage to awaken my bloodline. So, what brings you here? Are we just chatting about business here? It seemed like he wasn't really up for chatting about his height and history. Naruto really didn't mind either. Right then, Raven took a step forward and began chatting with him like they were old friends. Just as Naruto and Raven were getting ready to head out after some talks, Galopso called out from behind them. Oh, And one more thing, why do you need so many weapons? So, are you thinking about going after the Grandmaster? Naruto just nodded, figuring that no one would take him seriously if he mentioned it so casually. They'd probably just think he was joking around. But he still didn't quite grasp how this unusual bear's brain worked. Huh, are you serious right now? Haha, why not include me in your plan too? Naruto glanced at Raven, a mix of surprise and doubt on his face. So, was this bear actually dependable? He came across as a real comedian to him. Raven explained Galapso's behavior. So, it turns out Galapso really holds a grudge against the Grandmaster. The bear asked again at that moment. Are you actually going for it? Naruto took a moment to chill out and figured he should get a grasp on what was going on first. So, it was this little remote shop that didn't really seem to have much of a crowd. Why's that? Are you interested? But aren't you a little worried about the Grandmaster? Haha, it looked like he just caught onto a really good joke. Honestly, I just can't get over what he did to my son. It's something I won't forgive him for. She cried. Stay tuned for more. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. I'm thrilled you watched the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe for even more exciting content coming your way soon.